So I made a video about pretty privilege not too long ago where I was talking about the perks that people receive when they look good. And for the most part, a lot of people did seem to agree with what I was saying. They're like, yes, pretty privilege is a thing and it's a problem. However, some people did disagree. They were like, nah, being pretty does not have all these benefits attached to it. There's actually a lot of negative effects that come with being pretty. And at first I was like, nah, like what could be so negative about being attractive? You know, people think you're attractive. They give you free stuff. They invite you into their booth. They have a lot of dating options. So I was like, you know, I don't agree with that. But there were a lot of comments that had this perspective. So I read them because I like reading other people's opinions. And my mind slowly started to change. And I did start to form an understanding of these people's perspectives. I'm actually going to read some of the interesting comments that I saw so you guys can see what I was reading. So this is one of the comments. It reads, I've watched women that are attractive get treated poorly solely because they're good looking. Pretty privilege may be a thing, but not when they're stunning. It's like how cute, average, or fairly pretty women get compliments. No one is complimenting the stunning person because they assume she knows or hears it all the time. I think people are treated better when they're fairly good looking, but once you're too pretty, no. And I found this comment interesting and I'm like, okay, they do have a point. It kind of reminds me of when people see someone that has a resting bee face and they automatically assume that they're rude and they're the rudest person ever and they make all these assumptions on them. And that comment was basically saying that, yeah, like once you're too good looking, once you're too pretty, people are gonna look at you and be like, oh,
like she's too pretty, like she probably gets so much compliments, she's probably so full of herself.
And they'll make all these assumptions on that person based on how they look. So I can definitely see that person's point of view. But you know what? You people need to stop making assumptions on people based on how they look. How about that? So I'm gonna read another comment as well. So this comment reads, my mom is really pretty and the amount of absolute hatred she has gotten is unbelievable. She's very friendly and approachable and empathetic. Doesn't gossip or look down upon anyone, but no matter what or where, she gets the most hatred from women. Oddly enough, it's crazy. I just found it interesting that they said that their mom is getting the most hate from women, not men. And I won't lie, a lot of women can be super catty and super nasty with women who they're jealous of or who they don't like. We see it all the time, it's nothing new. If women are jealous of this person's mom, I don't put it past them to be rude and to be a complete B-word to her because of how she looks. Because you know, jealousy stems from insecurity, and when people are insecure, they lash out, and maybe their form of lashing out is being rude to someone who they secretly admire, but they're jealous of. That's what it sounds like. It just sounds like they're jealous, and that's a common theme that we'll talk about in this video today. Okay, so now let's read one more comment that actually made me want to finally do this video and address the dark side of pretty privilege. This one reads, pretty privilege is different now in the time of social media than it was back in the day. I'm Gen X, pre-Me Too movement. When I was young, I couldn't get away from R-word men. In the 90s, they did whatever they wanted. I had several SA situations and just ended up putting on weight so I could live without the weird attention. How people are marketing themselves before you even meet them. Women have more power now. I'm glad, but I wish they had an understanding of the cost and didn't take it for granted. This comment was very thought-provoking, and that's why I wanted to include it in this video, because I never thought of that side of pretty privilege. I've never experienced that, and I am Gen Z, so I am in a different generation than this person is. So they have, you know, more life experience and they have more of a different way of thinking, and that's why I wanted to include it in this video. But as I said, I am Gen Z, so I am part of a generation that grew up with the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement started in 2006, but didn't blow up until 2017. So I grew up during a time where men were being called out for being weirdos and being pervs, which, you know, thank God. But a lot of women did not grow up during that time, so they do have a different experience with how they interacted with men based on their looks. I just want to thank the commenter for commenting that. I think it was a really interesting perspective, and I'm happy that you shared it with us. And that's terrible that you had to go through that. I honestly have no words for that because I can't even imagine it, but thank you so much for sharing your story. Before we get into this video, I just want to say that this video is not going to be me just complaining about how life is so hard for pretty people. I know no one wants to hear that. Kind of like a billionaire complaining about having money, because yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of struggles that come with being a billionaire, but I don't want to hear about it. I know other people don't want to hear about it because you're literally a billionaire. Since I already made a video acknowledging the benefits of pretty privilege, I think it's only right that I make a video acknowledging the negative side of pretty privilege. And you as a viewer can make the choice of whether you think that pretty privilege is an actual thing and there's a lot of perks to it, or being pretty is seen as a negative thing and has so many negative effects attached to it. So let's get into this video and hopefully I don't get roasted alive. no secret that men give a lot of attention to women, and this attention is not always wanted. Actually, it's not really wanted at all, for the most part. It's a fact that men give a lot of attention to women, and women who are extremely attractive receive a lot of advancement and a lot of attention from men. And I would say 9 times out of 10, it's not always a positive interaction. And I know a lot of women can relate to this. Let's say you're walking down the street, you're gonna meet your friend for a party, or maybe you guys are gonna go out for a drink. And you took some time to look good because you're going out in public. You wanna look good, so you have your hair done, you have your nails done, the makeup's on point, and your outfit's on point too. But as you're walking down the street, you can't take 2 steps without being stopped by a man or being catcalled. Getting stopped every 2 seconds for a man to compliment you is not something that women want, especially when you're just trying to get to your destination, you're trying to meet your friend, you have places to be, and also those interactions can easily escalate into something that's dangerous or violent, and it can be a danger to your safety. Because the interaction can start off friendly and respectful. Maybe he's saying that you look good today, he wants your number, and it can quickly end up to him cussing you out or boxing you in the face. And we've seen this many times when women reject men and they get butthurt and they literally attack them for saying no. And I remember this actually happened last year, and it was a really popular case, and it was in China actually, and it was actually a really big case because the whole crime was caught on CCTV footage, so we saw everything. And I think CNN actually has the video posted up on their channel, so if you want to see it, you can watch it on your own. I don't want to show the video in this video, but I will link it below if you're interested in checking it out. So basically, there were these young women, they're at this restaurant and they're sitting down eating, enjoying each other's company. And there was this guy outside, there's like a patio. So the restaurant had tables inside and they also had tables outside. So the girls were inside the restaurant and this guy was outside. But he comes inside the restaurant, I think to place an order, maybe to get another drink, I don't know. But as he's walking into the restaurant, he eyes one of the girls sitting down with her friends. And he's kind of lurking for a while, he's just staring at her. I guess he likes what he sees, he finds her attractive. So he walks past her table and then I guess he places his order or does whatever he needs to do. And he goes back outside, I believe, and he's still looking at her. So you can tell that he's still checking her out. Then he comes back into the restaurant, and when he passes her table, he puts his hand on her back. And obviously she immediately pushes him away because it's if you're just sitting down and then some random man puts his hand on your back, you're gonna be like, what the hell? You're gonna swing because I don't know you. And then when she pushes him away, he comes back and he tries to still be touching her, and then it escalates into a fight. The fight is all caught on CCTV footage. I can't even call it a fight. It's literally him beating her up, and her friends try to help her too, and that's when he calls his friends, and then we have these 4 men beating up these women. It's not just a little 1-2 punch, and even if it was a 1-2 punch, that's still unacceptable. They were beating these women for a while. I don't know how long the beating lasted, but it was a hot minute. All of the men were charged, but it's just crazy how, because he had his ego hurt, he decided to beat her up, and he just kept going. He was taking out all his anger and all his rage on her. And that's why a lot of women give out their number to avoid things like that. And the thing is that women should not have to do that in the first place. If a woman says no, she doesn't want to give you her number, you don't have any right to come and attack her and beat her up. And I'm not saying that these women were attacked solely because of pretty privilege. However, I am assuming that, he was looking at her, so I'm assuming he liked what he saw. He probably found her attractive, and that's why he decided to go up to her in the first place. And the crazy thing too is that even when women are in casual fits, just casual chilling, maybe they don't have their hair done, their makeup done, men still approach them too. That's still a thing. So that's why I'm not saying that, oh yeah, only when you're dressed up and looking amazing, that's when men are gonna approach you. They can approach you for many reasons, but the bottom line is when they approach you, they most likely find you attractive, and that's why they wanna approach you, get to know you, and get your number. This even reminds me of a story that happened to me. I didn't get beat up or anything. This happened to me last month. I was actually going to a party with my friend, so I decided to take the train because I didn't want to Uber the full way, trying to save money, inflation is a thing. The thing is that I hate taking public transit when I'm all dressed up. I get so many stares. I feel like that's something a lot of people can relate to. If you look super nice and glammed up on the public transit, people probably look at you some way, be like, why is she here? She looks out of place. Anyways, I was all dressed up, I looked really good, not to toot my own horn. I kid you not, I'm walking, and this random man comes out of nowhere. The most creepiest, weirdest man ever, just The most creepiest man you can envision in your head, envision that. I'll try to put a picture of like how he looked. I probably can't find the actual picture, obviously. I'm gonna put a picture just to like show you like how creepy, like the vibe this guy was giving me. Anyway, so he stops right in front of me too, not even like to the side, like, you know, right in front of me, blocking my path to move. And he says something along the lines of this.
Oh wow, what do we have here?
Like, excuse me, sir. I just kept on walking. It was a crowded train station. I was like, not today, Sadie. I literally just walked around them because I was like, I don't have time for this. I'm not even gonna stop to say hi. Like, if you really wanted to compliment me, and if you really wanted to like talk to me, get my number or something like that, you don't start off the conversation like that. And thankfully he didn't chase me or anything. But every time I go to that train station when I'm all dressed up, 9 times out of 10, I do get stopped. And the experience isn't always negative. I've had nice guys approach me too, but there are a lot of creepies out there. And this just makes me think of the first comment that I read that said basically like, yeah, when you're like kind of pretty, whatever, that's like a nice sweet spot. But when you're too pretty, that's when, all the negative things start happening to you. And I guess like, you know, when I'm very dressed up and I put a lot of effort into how I look, you know, that's usually when I'm stopped. That's when I'm approached, or just, you know, weird people are approaching me. When I'm not as dressed up, I still get stopped. Like even when I'm working, like, you know, I'm in my uniform. Like, it's literally a work uniform. And, you know, people do ask for my number and all that type of stuff. But I do see a difference in when I'm super dressed up versus when I'm not as dressed up. And the thing is that if I want to dress up, I'm gonna dress up. I'm not gonna not dress up and not look good just because I don't want to get approached. Like, don't tell me to do that. If I want to look good, I'm gonna look good, period. So I hear people try to be like, yeah, well, you shouldn't wear that or you shouldn't dress like that. I have to change the way I dress and the way I look, so people just leave me alone. Like, you know what? This doesn't make sense. But it's essential to recognize how these experiences can take a toll on someone's mental and emotional well-being, because it's not just an inconvenience to be stopped when you're trying to go somewhere. It can be an actual threat to your safety. Okay, so now let's talk about women, specifically insecure women, because this is where I find people who benefit from pretty privilege suffer the most. Because having genuine friendships is crucial to being a happy person, no matter what. Like, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You need people, you need a community, you need people who care for and people who care for you back. And having genuine female connections and friendships is something that I value a lot, and I feel like it's an important thing that all women should have. There's a lot of factors at play when a friendship forms, and there's a lot of factors at play when a friendship dissolves. And reading the comments of my Pretty Privilege video made me realize that a lot of the things that pretty women were complaining about is that they just had so much hate and jealousy directed at them from other women. And when I read the comments, I was like, okay, this just sounds like insecure and jealous women. Jealousy is a real ugly disease and it affects a lot of people. And you know, I'm not perfect too. I've been jealous of people a lot of times. It's just a natural thing. Everyone has been jealous of someone or something at some point in their life. It's definitely possible to overcome jealousy. But when you let jealousy consume you, that's when it becomes a real problem. No one wants to be that girl who complains that, oh, every girl that I meet hates me because I'm so pretty, they're so jealous of me. Like, you sound conceited, you sound delulu, like people are literally gonna roast you and be like, okay girl. But let's keep it a buck. A lot of attractive women do get hate. I see it all the time, not only with celebrities but in real life too. I've seen a lot of girls talk shit about a girl because, you know, they're jealous of her, they don't really like her. It's like they don't even have a valid reason not to like her, they're just jealous of her. You know what, if you're jealous of a girl because you think she's beautiful and you think your beauty is lacking for some reason, I don't think you're a bad person. You just need to work on it, work on your self-esteem. However, when you actually act on it and you lash out and actually go out of your way to bully the girl, then that's a problem. This reminds me of a crazy thing where a friend told me. I was like, girl, this did not happen, but it did happen, so I'm gonna share with you guys. So at my university, we have basketball games there. And at these basketball games, usually it can be packed. If it's like mid-season, I would say it's usually packed. There's a lot of people there, a lot of energy. When people go to the games, they come looking good. You know, they pop out. Like, they don't want to be seen, you know, in some raggedy clothes. Because, as I said, there's a lot of people who go there. And the way the gym is set up, when you're walking into the gym, everyone can see you. This is the bleachers. Everyone's here. The game is here. And the door is here. So you're walking like this, and you're walking to the seats. So the players can see you, but they're probably not paying attention to you. And this is the bleachers where everyone is. So as you're walking there, they can see you. Finally, the sound stopped. I'm so sorry if you guys could hear that sound. I need to fix this setup. And that's why I even try to get to the games early, because I hate when I'm walking in and everyone stares at you. They don't even try to hide it too. They'll look you down, look you up and down, you know, see what you're wearing, see how you look. Oh yeah, obviously when you go, you want to pop out. You don't want to look crazy. You just want to look good, basically. So my friend A goes to the game with friend B. They came late, so they're gonna have to do the walk and everyone's gonna be looking at them. And I kid you not, friend B says to my friend A,
walk behind me when we walk into the game.
my friend A is like, what? What do you mean? Like, she's just laughing because she doesn't know what's happening. She's like, oh, is she just joking? Maybe she's just joking. And no, friend B's like, nah, like, I'm not even playing. Like, just walk behind me when we get into the game. Yeah, it's crazy. You see, when insecurity pops out, it looks like that. But no, friend B told my friend A to walk behind her and she was dead ass.
I'm dead ass.
Now, let me ask you a question. Does friend B sound like a very confident person to you? No. And their friendship actually did end up ending anyway, so they're not friends anymore, because when women are jealous of you, they will try to go out of their way to make you look bad or dim your light, and you can't even find a genuine friend. And I'm not saying that pretty women cannot make friends because everyone's out to get them and everyone's jealous of them. But when you're an attractive lady and you're trying to make a friend, you can encounter, and you probably will encounter, people who are jealous of you and insecure. And the amount of true crime stories I've heard of best friends killing their best friend because they were jealous of them is crazy. If you have a friend that's weird and just not giving you the energy you need and is just doing too much, you need to cut them off because you don't know how far jealousy will take them. There was this Indonesian case that I saw on Rotten Mango. It's a YouTuber that I watch on YouTube. But basically these two girls were friends-ish and they kind of had a rocky friendship. But then one of the friends was like, hey, you want to meet up for coffee? Catch up like old times. The girl was like, sure, let's meet up. That's cool. I don't mind. Anyways, the friend who invited them to come out for coffee actually did that because she was plotting to murder her friend that she was jealous of. Her friend that she murdered had a husband, had a good career, had a good parents, and she was beautiful too. She had her whole life together. So that friend was jealous of her and poisoned her coffee, which ended up unfortunately murdering her. But you see how jealousy can drive you to do crazy things? That's why it's very important to spot the signs, and if someone is jealous of you or just doing too much, cut them off. ASAP, no Rocky. And I also want to talk about another issue that women who experience pretty privilege have to face, and that's the pressure to maintain how they look and the pressure to constantly look good. I know, yeah, this probably sounds like a first world problem. It is, but it's still a thing. Because when you're used to looking a certain way and receiving special perks and just, having an overall easier life because of the way you look, and then you experience the opposite side of that. Let's say you have to take birth control and then you end up gaining weight, and then that's gonna make you feel a type of way because people will probably treat you differently, and that can make people depressed, and that's a totally normal thing. And it's a very valid thing because when you're treated a certain way and all that treatment stops, it's gonna affect with you because you're gonna be like, am I ugly now? And it happens a lot of times, especially as people get older and they have different things that happen in their life. And it's very possible for people to get obsessed with how they look because they don't wanna, become ugly again or become ugly at all. And I know it sounds so trivial and it's not a big deal, oh well, you're ugly, accept it. The pressure that society and other people already put on women to look a certain way is crazy. And let's say once you achieve that, you're gonna wanna maintain that. You can engage in harmful practices trying to maintain your body weight and trying to maintain how you look. I even remember my coworker told me this. She told me that every time she came into work without any makeup on, our manager would come up to her and be like,
Are you sick today? You look a little bit different. Are you sure you're not sick? Do you need any tea, honey? Are you okay?
Every time she did not wear makeup, she would come up and say that to her. I said, every time when you don't wear makeup, someone asks you if you're sick, you're gonna think that you look sick without makeup on. It's like, damn, if everyone thinks I'm sick without makeup on, I guess I look crazy and I should probably just always wear makeup on whenever I go out. And that's a thing that can affect people because people just don't have any filters on, and people can be rude when they want to be. If a celebrity gains 1 pound, the tabloids are already commenting and making articles on how they're pregnant, how they're letting themselves go, or how they have an eating addiction. I swear every time a female celebrity is bloated or just has a bigger stomach one day, they automatically say she's pregnant. And I remember reading a New York Times article called The Pressure to Look Good. So the article begins with a reader's compliment over a letter that the author wrote about encouraging her daughters to value their inner selves rather than their appearances. And it's interesting because as the author reads this, she's on her way to a Botox appointment, which kind of creates a contrast between her actions and what she writes down. The piece discusses how the emergence of smartphones and social media has intensified the way that we look at women's bodies. The author mentions how both famous and ordinary women feel like they have to maintain a certain appearance because their looks are heavily criticized by the public and just by social media. You never know when you're going to be caught on camera, so you feel the need to always look good. The article also highlights the increasing demand for the beauty culture. It points out that there's no longer an excuse to not look good because all of these beauty treatments and services are now more accessible than ever. So it's not only the celebrities who are able to do laser and get their eyebrows done, get their hair done. We have a lot of hairstyles. We have a lot of options now. So now we don't have an excuse to look ugly. If I'm being honest, it's still expensive though. Like if you try to do laser, if you do your lashes, if you get your nails done, your hair done, that adds up a lot. So it's not even affordable in my opinion. It's probably more affordable than it was back in the day. And it's probably more accessible. I think that's a better word. You know, we have a lot of options to choose from if you want to get your hair done now. And the article concluded by discussing the dilemma of preaching body positivity, yet feeling the need to still conform to the societal beauty standards that, you know, society has set for us. And the author even questions how she can encourage her daughters and teach them how to value their inner selves rather than their appearances when she herself still feels the need to have to conform to a certain look. My point is that we have a lot of pressure on us to maintain how we look. Even though it's easier said than done, it's really important to always remind yourself that perfection is an illusion and we have to actually prioritize our mental and emotional well-being over our looks. Because, you know, you can go down a very dark path if you're just focused solely on how you look. So this section of the video is kind of scary because I'm going to be talking about some personal experiences. Honestly, it's not even a big deal, but like, I just don't like talking to myself. I get a little bit shy. I just wanted to share my own experiences too, so you kind of know my perspective and know where I'm coming from. And to also encourage you guys to share your own personal stories in the comments below. I do get told that I'm attractive. A couple, you know, a little one, two, you know. Anyways, I remember one day at work, you know, I was at work, just working, and I noticed that there was a new guy hired because I've never seen him before. It was kind of hard not to notice him because I would always catch him looking at me. Whenever I would look up, I would see him looking at me and he'll look away quickly, but you know, I already caught you. Overall, he did seem nice, you know, he did his job well, he seemed like a chill guy, but you know when you have that feeling of someone watching you, I had that feeling every time I was working with him. I'm about to be like, yo, what's up? Like, what's good? But him watching me 24/7 was not even the problem. Let me get into it. One day we had lunch at the same time together, and basically lunch table, you know, you kind of just, if you want to have your lunch there, you can have your lunch there. So I was having my lunch there, then he ended up coming and he had his lunch there too. I don't like sitting in awkward silence, so I was like, you know, hey, what's up, you know, da-da-da. So we just ended up talking naturally. It was a pretty good conversation until he started saying some foolishness. We were just talking, having a normal conversation. And then he says,
You know what? I'm actually surprised that you're this nice. I didn't think you were gonna be this nice.
I honestly thought you were like other girls. What do you mean other girls? Like, what the hell? I was like, what are you talking about? And I literally said, I was like, huh? I was like, what? You know, like when you're first in shock, you don't really know what to say. I would have wanted to cuss him out, but I was just like, what? I was like, what do you mean? Like, he goes on to elaborate even further and he's like,
yeah, I just thought, you know, you would have been around, you know, just because of the way you look.
I was like, oh my. Is this supposed to be a compliment? Am I supposed to be like, oh, wow, really? Thank you so much. Because that's not a compliment. And that's not even the first time I've heard that before. This heifer was basically saying because the way I looked, he thought I was a hoe. And it's the audacity for me. And what's even crazier too is that I've only seen him at work. You know, I'm in my work uniform, it's very modest. So he made that assumption based solely on my face and how I look. Like, how does that make sense? A lot of my other coworkers too, who were guys, but I had like a huge roster of guys for some reason. And it's not a compliment when they say, oh, like, but you're not like them though. I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's not a compliment, it never was a compliment. And it's just rude. And you have a lot of audacity opening your mouth and saying that to me. I'll share another quick story too, just about a jealous friend, because that is something I think we can all relate to. And I talked about it earlier in this video. So let me actually have a real life example associated with what I was saying. So anyways, this happened last summer actually. It was a really hot day. I think it was June or July. So it was hot. And you know, I think it was the weekend too. So we wanted to go out, grab a bite or do something because, you know, it was a nice day and we didn't want to stay home. So we made plans to go to this popular restaurant, and a lot of people who have money go to that restaurant. So we're like, you know what, let's go. Maybe we'll meet some people, who knows. I do my makeup cool. Now she picks me up, we're in the car, and now we're on our way there. And as we're on our way there, it's hot. Like, it is very hot. And I always bring eyelash glue when I'm going out in case my lashes start to pop off and do too much. That day I forgot because I was rushing, and lo and behold, my lashes started to come off. And I had eyeliner on too. And you know when you like have eyeliner on and then you put the lash on, and if you like take the lash off, Like half of the eyeliner is gonna come off too. If you wear makeup, you probably know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, you don't. Like the girls that get it. The girls that don't, they don't get it. But basically, like it kind of looked crazy because, you know, I have like half eyeliner on my eye, so it didn't really look that cute. I was like, even if I remove this lash, I'm still gonna look a little bit like, you know, not that cute. She brought shades with her, so I was like, okay, like, can I use your shades? You know, I was like, you know, let me just cover these eyes for now. She was reluctant at first for no apparent reason because she wasn't even wearing them. But after a while, she let me wear the shades. Anyways, we keep driving, we get to the restaurant and we get our table. So when we start to order, out of nowhere, she brings up the shades.
She's like, why are you wearing my shades? Like, I want my shades back.
And I was like, girl, didn't I not tell you and show you like how my lash looks? Like, you know why I'm wearing your shades. I didn't just randomly take them. And then she stops talking about it for a while. We eat, we talk about other stuff. Every few minutes she would bring it up. She's like, give me back my shades. Like, I want my shades. Like you know why I'm wearing your shades, bro. And I was like, okay, do you not understand why I'm wearing your shades? I literally lifted up my glasses to show her and be like, look at this. Like, doesn't it look crazy still? She's like, no, I can't even see it. Like, it looks honestly natural, like no one would be able to tell. Pulled out my phone to see for myself. When I tell you my lash was like up here, and I think I ended up pulling it off actually, but as I said, the eyeliner still looked weird. And she was like, yeah, it looks fine. It does not look fine. The fact that you said that and you want your shades back for no reason, yeah, it was giving sabotage. It was giving like, yeah, I want you to look bad and I don't care. Y'all might think I'm tripping, but when she said this to me in the car, I was like, something's not right here. So on the car ride home back, she was like, oh, like a lot of guys didn't approach you today. Like, that's kind of weird. Usually they approach you. And I was like, okay. Like, what do you want me to say to that? That's such a weird thing to say. And that solidified to me that I had a hater in my circle. My friendship did end, and I feel like it would have ended earlier if I just opened my eyes and just saw what was happening. But you gotta know the signs and know when to let them go. But I just thought I would share some of my personal experiences. If you guys can relate to any of this, please leave it in the comments below and let's chat about it. And even though this whole video is about the negative side of pretty privilege, my personal experience with pretty privilege has been very positive and very good. I will not lie. So even though I can acknowledge all of the negative effects and negative things that are associated with people who are pretty, I would still rather be pretty than be ugly. Go back to the comment that I read earlier who talked about they had many SA situations because of how they look, unfortunately. That's so terrible, but I will agree with them and say that, yeah, I do think women do have more power now. However, women don't have all the power and men are still out here assaulting women. Like, that's still a thing, 100%. But I do feel like there is definitely probably more power that's granted to women. Obviously, it's not perfect. There's still a lot of cases and a lot of disrespect that's going on, but that's how I see it from my perspective. And men were just allowed to be more creepier back in the day. I have a lot of stories too, even growing up. Some men were just creepy, they're just weirdos. And men are still creepy now, don't get me wrong. I feel like they're more aware that it's unacceptable, so they try to hide it and be less overt with their creepiness. But there's a lot of factors that affect everyone's experience with pretty privilege, whether it's good or whether it's bad. But that's why we all have different experiences, and that's why I wanted to make this video, to acknowledge some of them and just to create a healthy conversation on this topic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you didn't see it as a video of me bragging that, oh yeah, pretty people have such a hard life. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to acknowledge that there are not only positive things associated with being attractive. If you can relate to anything I said in this video, please comment below. Or if you completely disagree and you have other opinions you want to share, please comment below. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about this topic. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for making it till the end. I appreciate you, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.